just in your own words, reiterate what you were saying on stage about just how much this means to King County to bring this team here.
Oh, it's fantastic. I think we are, as was stated by all of the speakers, the mecca for women's sports. And I think you can't say enough what it means for generations of young women to see that. You have to see it to be it. And it doesn't matter just in sports, it matters in all of the spaces where people exist, right? So the women's sports, the men who support the women's sports, it just reminds people of what we're capable of and how we can move forward. I just think it's incredibly exciting, and I reflect on what it meant to get the WNBA here, and this is just really, with the rain, now with PWHL, taking it to the next level. I just can't say how exciting it is. And I saw some young women getting interviewed also, and just seeing how excited they are as young hockey players to see this coming. That's what it's all about.
How critical was it to see what Climate Pledge has done with reinventing itself, obviously being the home of the Storm, but just, in that regard, just to see how it reinvented itself, how, as it's been said several times, how world-class this building is.
This facility is fantastic, and the fact that this facility can then attract these kind of teams and ownership groups just means everything. And what it's done, I think for the neighborhood and our ability, as I said, to attract fans, not just from the region, but from outside, from all over, to come here and experience sports is remarkable.
Obviously, this is all very fresh, but has anyone, I guess, from the city had any friendly trash talk or anything with Vancouver? Just, as you mentioned, the rivalry is something they want to see.
Yeah, I have not heard yet. I like a friendly rivalry right now with our folks in the Vancouver area and the BC region, because given the national dynamics, I want us to remember how important we are to each other and our economic interests. So I think we should be traveling back and forth to enjoy each other's sports rivalries. Yeah.
Well, this is something that became on your radar. I know the league had the takeover tour, and that was great, and there was a rivalry series here before then. But when did, maybe you get wind that this was a possibility?
Yeah, I learned about, I knew the tour was happening, and when those games happened, and honestly, I don't recall when, but we provided a letter of support when we knew this might be something that happened, so it was in the air. But then obviously getting the confirmation recently was very exciting. Lee?
This was a gift. I'm not relinquishing it.
Do we get to see the gift?
Well, yeah, why don't you show
Yes.
us the gift is?
Oh.
Watch this. Alexa, what? No, I'm just kidding. All right.
Can you show it to us?
Yes. This is a gift to the mayor, the city of Seattle, recognizing the Professional Women's Hockey League, and I am very, very proud to hold this. As I said in my remarks, this is sort of like the icing on the cake of what we're trying to do here in Seattle, to empower our young girls, our women, all communities. We welcome with open arms the Hockey League, and this is going to change lives. So we're happy. This is my happy face. So you didn't even have to ask me a question. But is there a question?
What do you envision this league doing, adding a third professional sports team? Why will it change the younger girls and boys that have a chance to watch it?
I found out as a young person, believe it or not, I was young once, that I always looked up to the athletes, even if, you can't change how tall you are. Some things you can't change about yourself, but you can change your attitude. And when you see people, and in this case a young girl seeing a woman playing hockey, it will change their attitude and what they do. That's Seattle at its best. And so it's all about inspiration. I ask young people, where do you find inspiration? Is it in a song or a poem or a book? Often it is people they see. So these athletes, some of the best athletes in the world, will be skating right here in this arena, and they're going to inspire thousands and thousands of lives, and that's why we're so excited.
Can you speak a little bit to the quality of the facilities? Obviously, you talked about how great this building is, but with the Kraken Community Iceplex as well, and how great it's been, the Kraken that they started.
So I was a member of the Seattle City Council when this was sort of a concept from an older arena. And we talked about the vision, and I have to applaud the Oakview Group and Todd and Tim Lewicki and Samantha Holloway on the vision. This is the vision. We are living in the vision. This is a carbon neutral facility. It's a great fan experience. They're very intentional about making this an exciting arena. We know sometimes you lose games, no matter what you do, but you can still have a great fan experience. And I think that with data, you're looking at what the fans really want. Yes, they want to win. They want a great fan experience. So when the Women's Hockey League are here, they're going to win a lot of games. But if they fall up short, the fans are still going to have a great experience. And that's the beauty of this carbon neutral facility.
Going back a little bit to that community aspect, how are you hoping that the players mesh themselves into the community to inspire these kids?
Yes. So to repeat the question, that one reason, I think one responsibility that the athletes have are to give back. And sometimes it's not necessarily money, it could be resources, but just that common touch to go into third and fourth graders, sixth graders. Right now in our school system, these kids are experiencing things that I didn't experience when I was young in terms of cyberbullying and sometimes meanness and a little bit of just self-esteem that only, I think, quite honestly, sometimes women can give young girls in that sense. That common touch, that kind word. So these athletes are going to do that. The Storm and the Reign model this kind of behavior. I've seen them in facilities touching the lives of young folks. And so it helped me when I was young. These people saying that you can try to do this. And the beauty about hockey is it's a demanding sport. And so when a young person realizes they can get on the ice and move laterally and forward and backwards and do all of these incredible feats, they start feeling really good about themselves. And these athletes are going to do that here in the community, and I know they're committed just like the Storm and the Reign. All right, everyone have a great day. You're very
Amy, what was the main reason why Seattle was at the top of your list for one of the two expansion teams?
Yeah, I don't think there's literally one main reason. As a league, we set certain criteria in order to have a market work. And so I alluded to some of those on stage, right? Infrastructure, facilities. It's absolutely beautiful. Climate Pledge Arena, the Kraken Community Iceplex. Wonderful opportunity for our players to play in world-class facilities. Partnership opportunity, fan engagement, the growth of youth hockey here. So many reasons to come here, so really not just one, but so many that Seattle checks all the boxes on. So an absolute honor for us to call Seattle home now.
Amy, given that the league is centrally owned, what details did you have to work out with local officials and the Kraken and Oakview Group? What do those conversations look like, and what kind of details did you guys need to work out to make this happen?
Well, the conversation started when we reached out to do a takeover tour game here, and we asked if there would be any interest in expansion, and there was. And listen, there's a ton of deal points that make up a successful team, or when you go to facility, right? What is the rent? What do we think we could do for sponsorship? What do we think we could do for ticket sales? The Kraken, how could we possibly work together? How the Kraken find us additive, not competitive, and so for us having the ability to work with the Kraken is huge. And so, listen, the sports are pretty fundamental, and those deal points are all the same. They're just how favorable for you are they. And there's no doubt right now the Kraken and Climate Pledge Arena are wonderful partners for us.
Was there ever discussion of playing at any of the other facilities, or was Climate Pledge always at the place you guys were going to go?
Oh, Climate Pledge was always the target. How could you not want to play here? It's one of the most beautiful arenas in the world.
And there was no concern with the large capacity of it and whether or not you'd be able to fill it up, night after night.
No, listen, I think, are we going to sell 17,000 tickets a game? I mean, that's the goal. Do I think that's possible? Sure, I think Seattle can do that. What will happen? I don't know. But we know that we have a very lively, engaged crowd here in Seattle, and we think every game will be fun and loud, and again, we're proud to call Seattle home.
Do you expect to have a name by the start of the season, or are you okay going into the season as the Seattle professional team?
Yeah, we've started the process, and I don't think we want to put ourselves on any artificial deadlines in terms of our name has to be done when the season starts. So we'll go through the entire process, and when we feel that we're comfortable that we have a name and a logo, we'll announce it. But similar to year one, we're 100% comfortable with PWHL Seattle.
So how do you foresee the travel and schedule of the teams out west?
Yeah, we talked about travel a lot. We think between the takeover tour games and having a team in Minnesota that we can alleviate some of the travel burden by doing maybe a takeover tour game first, come to Vancouver, come to Seattle, maybe do Minnesota on the way home. So we do think that we can shorten the trip out here by taking into account where we play our takeover tour games. But, listen, I have flown out to the West Coast twice in the last 2 weeks from New Jersey, and it's not a bad flight. It's 5 hours. You're in, you're out.
So I don't know if it's official anymore, but are you confirming there's going to be a takeover tour next year?
Oh, yeah, for sure. We'll do a takeover tour, several games again. Yeah.
And in Jocks and Jill's clip, you said that a majority of the games would be played at Climate Pledge Arena. Was that meaning that the non-majority would be takeover tour games, or is that something that's going to be figured out when the schedule comes out?
I think that's something that'll be figured out once we understand the number of dates we get here. Yeah.
So it's an Olympic year, and I was wondering if there was any sense of priority of expanding during an Olympic year, part of the expansion process. Like, did you want to expand during the Olympic year when all winter sports kind of get a little elevated exposure?
Yeah, I don't really think we talked about the Olympics as being any part of the consideration set when we talked about this. We just felt from a business case and a hockey talent case, there certainly now is a great time to expand. We have the talent in terms of hockey players. We love the business case that we have. Proof of concept has been had now across 6 markets, and so it's wonderful that we have the Olympics next year. I think if you look at other women's leagues, there's been a wonderful draft on the back end of the Olympics, and we certainly expect to take advantage of that draft, but it wasn't any part of the consideration set for us now.
And then the Kraken obviously have a good video distribution and TV distribution. Is there any potential that could be leveraged for the women's team?
The beauty is that Todd Lewicki is so involved in what we're doing, and he wants to be helpful. So I'm sure it's a conversation that we'll have and see where he can really give us a lift. But we haven't got to those details yet, to be honest. Yeah.
Just to clarify, this is the first exclusively women-owned PWHL franchise, or
No, I was talking about the Seattle Storm.
Awesome.
Yeah. We're a single entity owned by the Wolter Group. Mark Wolter owns the Dodgers and
Thank
other
you.
teams. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. I know it was mentioned that the expansion draft is going to take place in mid-June. How far along, obviously there's a lot of details to iron out, but do you know how far along you are in the process to finalizing those dates, or is it still kind of figuring it out?
We're pretty close. Like you said, last few details that we need to put in place, but we're excited about being able to share that when we can, and excited obviously for people in this market to get to start to learn who the players will be that will represent this team.
Are you coming up with the rules, like, as a collaboration with the players themselves, and like how are they informed and brought along in the process?
For the expansion draft?
Yeah.
We started a process, and then we have a great relationship with the union, and we continue to go back and forth on what makes sense in their minds. And at the end of the day, we have a task to ensure that these teams are competitive from day one, and that's been guiding our process in designing this. But we do communicate back and forth fairly frequently with the union as well.
Ms. Scheer mentioned that there will be another takeover tour next year. Do you know when dates locations for that will be announced? Because I'm sure a lot of cities were very intrigued to see expansion and they want a team now. So do you have an idea of the cities you want to go to with this tour?
I think we have an idea. I don't think we're ready to share those yet, but we have an idea on markets that have been successful before, that we continue to get interest from, and places we want to be. So I imagine it'll be closer to season before we announce it, but given the success of the first takeover tour, we're really excited to do that again and continue to grow the PWHL across multiple markets.
Has there been any update? Any kind of update on the national media rights deal yet, or no? I know that was a big consideration.
Yeah, no updates that I can share at this point.
I was just saying, which excited you the most about Seattle?
Well, I had a chance to be here. I actually saw my first WNBA game here. Had nothing to do with my role here with hockey, but I got a chance to see a Storm game in one of Sue Bird's last season, which was really awesome, and awesome to see the energy in the city. And then, of course, coming here at the PWHL and being a part of that takeover game and the energy in the building, getting to know the group here, the Kraken team, some of the ownership group. It all just sort of came together that it's an amazing place to be for women's sports. We have a lot of people here that really wanted to make this happen, and it's just been fun to get to know more about the city.